Hello there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Jedi Knights. I'm your moderator, Christian Buckley. Joining me once again is Mike Connors.
Thank you for having me, as always. It's a pleasure.
Of course, it is a pleasure. Also joining us once again is Pat Maroney on the mixer.
Thanks for having me.
We're talking about a movie you watched mere hours ago.
Like while you were just lingering, yeah.
Did you watch it on your phone?
Yeah.
Of course.
On my account.
Oh, okay.
I rented it on PlayStation, and I have, you know what? For $4,
Yeah.
I feel like I should get an okay version of a movie that's 3 years old.
What do you mean? Was it not like...
It was bad quality.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
bad
pretty
quality?
rough.
I paid the extra $1 for the HD version.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Wait, so you bought it on PlayStation, like the PlayStation Store?
I rented it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I get it for 3 days.
Yeah.
I rented it $4, opposed to $3 for standard def. So we're talking like Blu-ray versus DVD quality here.
Mhm.
I would have been fine with just the standard def. Saved the $1.
So you know what I usually do? I usually rent stuff on Google.
Okay.
Or YouTube, rather.
I was gonna do that, but I wanted to watch it on my TV, and my PlayStation seemed like the best option.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that would work too. I mean, I know you can go on like the YouTube app on
Mhm.
like your Xbox.
Right.
And play it from
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Just for future reference.
All right. Well, noted.
Yeah.
So that concludes our Tech Talk podcast. But, kicking off things for Jedi Knights, we're going to be doing what we do every week, which is Fire the Cannon, a little game where I take a piece of Star Wars Legends material, condense it to the length of a tweet, give or take, and we decide if this former piece of Star Wars canon should be reworked into the modern canon Disney era, be acknowledged again, or redone, maybe.
I think we've been 50-50 on what we've fired and what we've,
I think we have.
like, so far.
So we're batting 500.
Yeah,
That's
we
how
have.
averages work.
That's This is a baseball podcast now. It turned from a tech podcast to a Star Wars podcast to a baseball podcast.
It is the World Series right now too. So
Oh, it is.
That's true.
Funny enough, we're talking Rogue One today.
Mm-hmm.
So for this week's episode of Fire the Cannon, we're talking about another Galen,
Okay.
but Galen Marek, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I don't know if I'm familiar.
The secret apprentice of Darth Vader, also
Oh.
known as
Oh.
Starkiller,
Yeah.
was recruited as a child during a raid on Kashyyyk. Vader had Starkiller travel across the galaxy to kill off remaining Jedi, then gather those who opposed the Empire to form a fake rebellion. One rebellion which Vader could easily demolish once the leaders that Starkiller recruited were unified, planning their meeting. But Starkiller defected from the Empire, sympathizing with the cause, died for the cause, so they could live, and then his house sigil was adopted by the rebellion to be used as the rebellion flag.
Yeah.
I can tell by your reaction you're not a fan of that.
No, I am a fan of that.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah, I always thought that was a cool touch.
Interesting.
In the Force Unleashed games.
Okay.
And I always thought he was a cool character.
Yeah, I like Sam Witwer.
Yeah, Sam Witwer. I mean, his voice is like
Yeah.
basically in every Star Wars project.
Yeah, he's played so many characters now.
Yeah, he has. I mean, I think he played Anakin, right? No.
No, he played Maul. I'm pretty
Right.
sure he's voiced the Emperor.
Okay.
He played Starkiller. Obviously, that was his original character.
Yep. Based off his face too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, like we've also seen with Fallen Order and Battlefront 2.
Right. Oh, the guy whose face is Cal.
Mhm.
It looks uncanny.
It does, yeah.
It's super weird.
pretty
Anyways,
good.
that's a tangent.
So Starkiller, the Dawn of the Rebellion, everything about him in this lore. Are we a fan of this?
I'm a fan of it. I
Okay.
think it's kind of cool. It's a little like cartoony though.
Mm-hmm.
Just his whole like upbringing and stuff like that. Like gets found on Kashyyyk, right?
Yeah.
But I always thought his force powers, like, he was way too.
Oh yeah, he's so overpowered.
He was like so overpowered.
And like fun for a video game in 2007 or whenever this came out, but
Right.
like as far as in-universe stuff, it's like pulling a Star Destroyer out of the atmosphere. That's kind of ridiculous.
As cool as that is.
Yeah. So I think the idea of Vader having a secret apprentice is interesting
Sure. Yeah.
because it kind of shows that he does still have some, not independence, but he does have I guess, rebellious aspect to him still, because, Anakin rejected the ways of the Jedi. Vader, while he has been under the fist of the Empire and Sidious, he still has his own ambition.
Do you think this could just work as, instead of transferring the actual character over, but just like take that idea of Vader having an apprentice.
That's where I wanted to land on with this, because I think it would also... Okay, say we get a Vader solo film, which I would be open to seeing.
Sure.
Exploring something like this, where he does have a secret apprentice, maybe it's like... Maybe Vader is the focus, but it's through the lens of a secret apprentice. I think that would work well to connect us to Anakin from the Clone Wars, where he was Ahsoka's master.
Yeah,
so we
right.
can like see that in canon and universe outside of the television show. And aside from that fact, like what you said, it's an interesting story.
Yeah, for sure. I just if Vader's gonna have an apprentice, like he needs to be a little bit less powerful.
Oh yeah,
Or they need to be a little bit less powerful.
for sure. So Galen Marek, Starkiller, I think we already have 2 all-right versions of your namesake in this universe so far. So we're gonna take your aura, I guess.
Yeah, just
and put you somewhere else.
who you are,
Yeah.
but not exactly you. Sorry.
Yeah. So I guess we're not firing the cannon.
We're
'Cause
like partially firing the cannon.
We're loading the cannon.
We're loading the cannon. That's a good one.
That's good.
We loaded it, we lit it up, and then it just kind of was like, I'm not moving.
It fizzled out.
Sure.
Yeah.
So see you soon. This week, or actually not this week, but last week, we got our final trailer for the Rise of Skywalker,
Oh yeah, we did.
which all of us reacted to.
Yeah, go watch that.
Please do. That was fun. I guess sort of debriefing the trailer. We've had some time to settle on it. There's a few things I want to ask you guys about this trailer specifically.
Yeah.
Mainly because we did talk about the trailer and things surrounding the trailer in most of the episodes of this show so far leading up to last week. Do you think it was spoilery?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because like all those scenes could just be from the first act and we have no idea.
Right. I want to preface the conversation. There may be potential spoilers describing things in the trailer if
Right.
you haven't watched the trailer, so skip forward maybe like 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely spoilers for the trailer though.
Yeah, trailer spoilers for sure. I don't think it was... I didn't feel spoiled by it.
I didn't either. There were some questionable shots in it though.
Yeah.
That I was like, I wish that wasn't in there. So like when I watched it for the first time, that imagery would be kind of fresh. Most notably, Kylo and Rey
Yes.
in the throne room.
Yeah.
That's such a cool shot.
It's very cool.
And I have a theory that whole Death Star stuff happens like in the first act.
Me too. Like the battle that they have on the wreckage.
Yeah.
And then going, I would assume going inside it after that fight in the ocean.
I would assume something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the sequence of events is like there, but all that Death Star stuff I think happens in the first act.
Do you think it's fair to assume that like everything First Order and Rebellion related will kind of take place like in the first half of the movie, and kind of Rey development will happen in the second half of the movie?
I think I'll half agree with you there. The way I'm thinking it right now is leading up to the, I guess, middle or like conclusion of the second act, it's going to be focused on the First Order resistance conflict. And then while I'm hoping it gets introduced earlier in the film, I think the third act is Sidious returning, that fleet of Star Destroyers. I think that's the third act.
You don't think it's all kind of like intertwined?
I don't know. That's the thing. That's why it's tricky and why I feel like I'm not spoiled, because there is a lot of visual imagery which looks, which I've said before, delicious.
It does look delicious.
Like that shot of the Falcon leading the charge of all those
Yeah.
starships. That's
Like the fleet of like just endless starships.
Yeah, that's amazing. If I could have seen that in theaters the first time, that would have been nice. I saw it at work the first time and it made my jaw drop. So like,
I mean, I'm sure there's still going to be some breathtaking
Yeah.
shots in this movie that we have not seen yet.
Because to be fair, I still don't have a firm grasp on what's going to happen in this movie.
I have no idea what's happening in this movie.
Yeah, I'm really lost. Like, I could give you a guess, but it's probably as good as anybody else's.
I think the whole world is lost on this movie.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is I've been following the gambling odds on this movie.
Yes, you have.
And they are
What's the update?
all over the place since that last commercial dropped. So far, the two most popular ones are whether or not Luke is Rey's dad,
Okay.
and whether or not Rey will end the movie as a gray Jedi.
Interesting. Those are like I think those are reasonable things to bring up. I don't think Luke's being the father is going to be anything outside of fan theory.
Yeah, I don't see how.
Which
That
is
just seems a little shoehorned.
Yeah.
to
It
me.
seems like it's weird that it's addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pat, what do you think? Do you think you're spoiled much? You were hardened on the Endgame trailers too, right?
Yeah, no, I love getting everything that I can get before the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even with Endgame, I was like reading the stuff from the Disney like execs meeting where
Yeah.
someone was publishing tweets,
Mm-hmm.
and like it still didn't like really spoil for me what was going on. I don't feel like I was spoiled at all. I have genuinely no idea what's gonna happen in this movie.
Yeah, well, I think going off of that as well as just the fact that as a trailer, there's no real arc to it. It's just like, look at this clash of everything Star Wars. It's like, great. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think that's like that was my takeaway.
It felt like a video game commercial. It was like, look at all this stuff
Sure.
that there's gonna be.
Yeah, sure.
There, like I said before, I think there were some questionable like shots in there.
Some of these could not be in the film too.
That's-
worth mentioning.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, and everything is kind of just like now with Star Wars, it's like, oh, like, is it real? Like,
Sure, yeah, that's valid.
Is that even happening, or is this like, are they force timing each other, or like something like
It's
that?
force timing the Jedi cell phone option.
Yeah, it's like when Rey and and Kylo can communicate.
Oh, is that an actual thing?
No, it's just what I call it.
Oh, I thought that's good. That's
clever,
good.
yeah.
That's really good.
I didn't come up with it. I have to say.
Okay.
I must say. But anyways, like especially that one scene when they're like in that white room and they're like knocking down that thing.
Right.
Like, what is that?
So okay, so when we watched that trailer, I said, "Was that Vader's helmet?"
I think it might be.
And Pat said that it was a droid because he was doing frame by frame.
Or like a podium or something, but there was no like Vader helmet on it because I went through in detail.
Okay. So I wasn't saying that it was like a fully formed Vader helmet. It's the one that's destroyed from 7.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't like the.
Well, it's funny you say that because I feel I've seen a lot of people running with the theory that it is.
I think it might be.
Because it looks like if it's this white room and this is the room that like Kylo uses to worship it or whatever, and if it is him and Rey shedding this, like tearing the old world down, like his theme in 8 was,
Mm-hmm.
and they strike it down together.
I've heard theories that maybe Palpatine has like possessed that artifact and is like speaking to like Kylo and Rey
Okay.
through the Vader helmet.
Okay.
I don't know how accurate that is. I mean, it's
Mhm.
a possibility.
Yeah.
At this point, really, anything is a possibility.
Yeah. I did see also that in that shot, this is going into your realm of expertise.
Okay.
The dagger of Mortis.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but everybody's like, "Oh, that's it.
yeah.
She has it."
I don't really know what it is because that's a Clone Wars thing.
Okay.
But I know it has something to do with like, I don't know. I don't even know what they're called, to be honest with you. The Force sister and the brother and
Oh, like
know what
that
I'm talking
original,
about?
like the tree thing.
yeah, no, not the tree thing, but like those 3 people. Like one of them embodies the dark side, like the girl embodies the light side, and their father is like the balance between the 2 of them.
Nope.
Okay, well, right over Christian's head.
Yep. Star Wars is weird.
And yeah, and I don't honestly I didn't watch much of the Clone Wars, so
Mhm.
I can't be an authority on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can confidently chime in.
Okay.
That is not Vader's helmet.
All right. Pat is
I'm
doubling
hitting
down.
I'm hitting the frame by frames. There is no shot in hell that is Vader's helmet.
Pat, do you want to make a bet?
Yeah, how much? What do you want to bet?
We'll figure out something, but I would like to make a bet with you about this.
Do you want to come check the frame by frame right now?
I'm not gonna check in the middle of the show.
All right, so if it's not Vader's helmet, then what is it?
Yeah, like just a pillar,
Some
a
art.
black pillar in a white room. Who
So-
designed that?
I don't know. I mean, people think maybe that's Kylo's bedroom. This
Okay.
is chambers and like some sort of.
It's like shaped like an elongated egg. It's not like it's like a circle. It's
Right.
Like an
I'm saying it's a
oval.
podium, and then on top it's Vader's mask
Yeah, no,
that's resting.
I'm looking at it like separated from the podium because the podium gets smashed and then it kind of hovers in the air. For a
Right, but if
second.
the mask gets smashed, it's gonna come apart. It was already half burnt.
it's still just like
There's a frame. I'll show you later. There's a frame on its way down where it looks like the eye is missing, and it's the shape of his like mask.
Oh, okay, interesting. I mean, we know. Okay, so we know Kylo Ren hasn't just collected Vader's helmet. Like,
Yeah, he's had it.
Well, I mean, he's collected a lot of other artifacts too.
Fair, yeah.
So, I mean, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be that. I mean, I think it probably is personally, but I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah, we will. So I guess that's my theory I'm bringing with this trailer, I guess. Have you guys looked into any of the other theories surrounding this trailer at all?
I've got a theory. I might be wrong about everything I was just spewing.
Does it look like Vader's helmet now?
I'm like starting to want to get on the other train.
All right. Stay tuned.
Notice
I'm right on my bet though.
Okay.
Notice in the back of that scene with 3PO, like right in the middle of the trailer, there is a battle droid.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
So, battle droid's confirmed in episode
9. So yeah, I don't really have any other standout moments of the trailer. I really think that's Vader's helmet. It was cool, maybe seeing the backside of Palpatine sitting in like a mech or something.
Yeah, it's super weird, right?
Yeah.
At some point you can see someone's finger like come out. It doesn't look as white as Palpatine does in like previous movies.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, I don't know.
I'm interested.
Me too.
I guess you mentioned Kylo Ren and his history with artifacts, and the film is also going to be delving into the Knights of Ren a little more. Previously, we talked about a Kylo Ren comic book series called The Rise of Kylo Ren.
Yep.
The Rise of Skywalker, The Rise of Kylo Ren. Is there a connection?
I mean, Kylo Ren's a Skywalker.
He is.
So,
Charles Soule is writing The Rise of Kylo Ren.
this is like the second
Yes.
issue, right?
So the book hasn't come out yet. I think issue 1 is the first week of December. And he showed the cover of the second issue of this book. And I know you've seen this because we were freaking out about it.
Yeah.
It shows Ben Solo and Luke Skywalker back to back, green and blue lightsabers ignited, surrounded by none other than the Knights of Ren.
Yep.
One of them is wielding a lightsaber, which, as far as I know,
I thought
that's news.
Yeah, I thought the Knights of Ren didn't have lightsabers.
So here's what I'm thinking. The one that has the lightsaber is the...
He's Rey. No, I'm kidding.
the one with the lightsaber dies in this story of the rise of Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren fills that role. Because Kylo's the leader of the Knights of Ren. Maybe the previous leader that he usurps the position of is the one that held the saber.
That's a good SAT word.
That's my guess.
Yeah. Did you read the description?
I didn't.
Okay.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, and I'm gonna do a really horrible job recollecting it. But it starts. The description, like the very short synopsis of this, starts with like, the Jedi Temple's burned, and Kylo Ren has no one else to turn to in the galaxy except for a man named Snoke. But then it's like, before he burns down the Jedi Temple, like he's had a run-in with the Knights of Ren before, and then that's supposed to like kind of go through that story that we see on the cover.
So this is the arc for the entire series?
I mean, that's the synopsis for
that's
the issue.
Pitch. Okay.
For the issue,
Gotcha.
at least.
Well, interesting. I'm very excited to see this story fleshed out a little bit.
Yeah, I want to know more about Kylo Ren.
Me too. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters.
Yeah, but I think he's my favorite in the new sequel trilogy.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he has the most depth.
He does, for sure. I think I'll get to this when we talk about those movies, but I see in him what I wish I saw more of in Anakin in the prequels.
Yeah, probably just because Adam Driver's a better actor, but
who knows? We'd get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But for the rest of this issue, I think it's interesting that the era we're in now with Star Wars, this is probably a byproduct of just making a brand more commercialized and, constantly pumping out content.
Yeah.
But I feel like, take Palpatine, for instance. Snoke was mentioned in 2005. Sorry, not Snoke. Plagueis.
Yeah. Plagueis
was mentioned by Palpatine in the 2005 Star Wars film.
Right, yeah.
It took us 7 years to get a book detailing Plagueis's backstory.
Yeah, but this is like before Disney was cranking things
Right,
out.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then, traditionally, to get fleshed out stories outside of the films, it took a long time.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't get the Thrawn trilogy until the 90s.
Right.
And
like
that
the
was...
Empire ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a while.
Right.
And now Kylo Ren was introduced to us in 2014. 2019, we get a full backstory about him. So, you know, like it's a shorter gap from the Disney era, I guess, and it is because they want that constant feed of content.
Yeah.
But just a little bonus.
I want to see a Kylo Ren like novel.
That'd be great.
I mean, the comic books and everything, don't get me wrong, like very cool and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there's much more depth to be had in a book.
For sure. I think we'll get that probably after the sequel trilogy ends.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
As we've seen, they like fleshing out things way after the fact.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think Kylo Ren is a very deep character. There's loads to explore with him, his history, and his nature. And I do hope that Rise of Skywalker gets into a lot of it, because I think there's potential. I think closing out this trilogy, assuming Kylo is the Skywalker who rises, there's a lot of ground to cover, I think. So it's interesting that we have a set time now for how long we have to see these things accomplished.
Oh, are you talking about the runtime?
Yeah.
It's the longest Star Wars movie ever.
It is the longest Star Wars movie ever.
Right behind Attack of the Clones. I'm pretty sure.
No, actually.
Oh, really?
So episode 9 is, first off, it's rumored to be PG-13, but like, duh.
Yeah, it has to be.
All of the Star Wars movies we've gotten from Disney are PG-13. The runtime is 155 minutes, which is 2 hours, 35 minutes. It's the longest Star Wars film ever, like you said, shortly followed by The Last Jedi, which is 152 minutes.
Okay.
So Rise of Skywalker is 3 minutes longer than The Last Jedi.
Now, this like counts credits and stuff like that, right?
I don't know.
Okay, well.
If I'm being fully honest,
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, well, forget me then.
So what do you think? What do we think of this? Do we think that that's enough time to what we expect out of this finale to this not only trilogy but trilogy of trilogies to wrap up in 2.5 and 5?
So my gut reaction is no.
Okay.
My gut reaction is I don't think it's long enough.
I think it could be possible, but I think there's going to be a sacrifice, and I believe that sacrifice is going to be we kick off with a major time skip, and we get a lot of exposition about what happened between 7 and 9, or sorry, between 8 and 9.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably.
I think that's the justification, because if we have a recap, if we have somebody saying like, hey, we're going here to do this, and we have a short mission that like sort of establishes the state of the galaxy,
yeah,
and everything that happened since 8, I feel like that would cover a lot of ground, but it's just going to be through exposition.
I think, and this is kind of getting into my opinions about the sequel trilogy a little bit, but I don't think it's long enough, because you have to set up a lot of things that like episode 8 just didn't do at all.
Yes, and I do think with 8, I think this is a grander discussion.
Yeah, we'll have this grander discussion.
We will. I think with what 8 was, I think 8 put this saga in a very good place if it was planning on continuing. Saying like,
after 9?
Yes, like a 10, 11, 12 with the sequel trilogy cast. I think it set up a very strong future for following Rey, Kylo Ren, Finn, Poe, and the Resistance.
Yep.
But with episode 9, once the marketing started to kick in, this was the first that I was hearing that this is the end of it all.
Right. I mean, and I've thought this for a while, and like we said, like we'll get into this, but I think episode 8 could have just been like a comic book or something like that.
I mean, that's fair. I think, but do you see what I'm saying with 9 feeling like it up until now, it didn't feel like the finale. It felt like I was expecting it to be just the episode 3 for this new set of films.
Yeah, I guess,
I
guess I see where you're coming from. But it's just, to me at least, you have to do a lot in this next movie.
Yeah, I think like, because of the fact that they shifted that direction, not necessarily shifted because we don't know what the initial idea was, but the direction they're taking is that it's a finale to everything. And there's a lot of ground to cover.
There's so much ground to cover. You have to do 2 movies, essentially.
Yeah. So I hope they achieve it well. I'm sure there's going to be some sacrifice. hopefully it's just like a monologue or something.
Yeah, man, I have so many opinions that I'm just like not talking about right now because we're gonna get to them.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of news to discuss still.
Yes.
But yeah, we will get into more of that discussion come time for our episode 7, 8 review, our episode 9 preview.
You know what I would have like been okay with them doing?
What?
Like doing a Harry Potter Deathly Hallows sort of deal.
9 part 1, 9 part 2. You're getting into like Kingdom Hearts territory with these titles then.
Yeah, but I mean, I would be fine with it.
I mean, I would have been fine if it was a 3-hour movie, and I think that would have fixed a lot of this.
I mean, Endgame did a 3-hour movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was beautiful.
it was.
I mean, it showed that it can be done
Yeah,
without being too much.
yeah.
I feel like Endgame definitely had like momentum leading into the 3-hour movie though. Like a majority of people are not happy with the way episode 8 was.
Yeah, and I think my biggest thing with the state of Star Wars leading into 9 was the fact that it didn't feel like we were leading up to a finale.
Right.
It felt like we were leading up to the next chapter in an ongoing plot.
Yeah, and I think that's episode 8's fault. But
Yes, sure. Episode 8 made me think that. Moving on. We do have, speaking of fleshing out stuff, Obi Wan. We got more Obi Wan series news.
yeah,
Lots of it, actually.
Yeah, the man himself,
A surprising amount of Obi Wan news.
spilling the tea.
So, Ewan McGregor did several interviews over the past week with different outlets, talking about Doctor Sleep. That's the new film he's in, the sequel to the film The Shining, not the book.
That movie looks good. Tangent.
I thought when I saw the trailer, I was like, they could easily ruin this film.
Yeah.
It could easily be so bad.
Yeah.
But I heard it was all right.
Yeah,
So-
I've been hearing good things too.
So in these interviews, he was talking about the process of leading up to the Obi-Wan film, his knowledge of it. I have a few quotes pulled. Ewan McGregor said that Solo, the box office reaction to Solo, caused Disney to reevaluate their stance like we expected was the case. And Obi-Wan was originally going to be a Star Wars story film,
Mm-hmm.
but it ended up shifting to Disney Plus.
For the better.
Yes, he agrees with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you just need more time with these characters.
Yeah, and if you think of it like, well, we do know how many episodes it's going to be. He said that it's going to be 6-hour-long episodes. That is basically 2.5 movies of time.
Yeah.
With Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan.
I hope that that's just all they do.
Me too. You asked me about this a couple weeks ago, if I'd be okay with them doing a season 2 or something.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility that if they wanted to and they could tell more of a story, yes. But I think similar to what Marvel's been doing with their announcement for Disney Plus shows, getting 6 to 8 hours with one cast is a lot of material that I think is going to pay off in the way the story's told, the way it resonates, that, like you're saying, I think we might be fine with this.
Yeah, I think if they just have a set vision for it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, we got 6 episodes, we're going to tell one story
Mm-hmm.
in those 6 episodes, and that's going to be that. And it'll be satisfying, and it will leave people right to episode 4.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I am too. I think it's going to be, I have very high expectations for this, but I am going to be very sad knowing that this is actually probably the last time Ewan McGregor is going to play Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I mean, don't be sad that's I mean, that's true.
I just want more.
I know.
He's so good.
But I mean, he's like a fine wine, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to take it. You got to take a little bit at a time.
here's
Can't
a
overindulge.
here's a thought.
Yeah.
If they decided for funsies
Okay.
to remake A New Hope, and Ewan McGregor was gonna play Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Yeah.
I'd be all right with it.
Yeah, sure. And like Skywalker Ranch wasn't burned down from all the angry fans.
Yes, but more Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan.
Yeah, yeah.
At what cost though?
Fair, you know, but like
Yeah.
I just want to see more of him, and I hope the series is satisfying enough where I feel like I don't need more at the end of the day.
That's fair, but also remember when everyone started losing their mind because George Lucas added one laser blast in before Han Solo like shot someone.
Yeah.
Like imagine them redoing the whole movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like people
Yeah.
would burn down Skywalker.
And like the
Ranch.
milk. On,
Well, yeah.
The milk on Tatooine's like white instead of blue, and they're like, "This isn't Star Wars."
Again, it's all hypothetical, but there is a lot of the original trilogy cast that do have younger counterparts at this point.
Yeah. Oh, especially Luke.
Yeah. Sebastian Stan,
Sebastian Stan. Yeah.
Alden Ehrenreich,
Yeah, that's already done.
Leia. People think Millie Bobby Brown looks like Carrie Fisher when she was a kid.
Yeah, I guess, but she's too young, I think.
Wait like 5 years.
That's
Ewan
true.
McGregor's gonna be grayer then.
Yeah, that's true. He'll be like perfect Alec Guinness age.
Again, this is a tangent, but I wouldn't hate it. I'd be open to it.
I mean, like, would I go spend money on and see it? Yeah,
Yeah.
like of course. But I
Um,
wouldn't necessarily. I don't know how I'd feel about it.
Yeah, because I do know, especially at that point, I don't think Disney's going to hammer in too hard on eras we're familiar with after the sequels end. Maybe a couple spin-off shows here or there, but nothing on the film side of things, I don't think.
I think TV shows are the future of Star Wars.
Me too. Speaking of, Mandalorian also has an update.
Yeah.
Once again, we're recording this Monday. That's Instagram at 5:45. In a handful of hours, we're getting a brand new Mandalorian trailer.
Yeah.
What-
Whoops.
Where is that? Like, is it on some like Monday Night Football deal?
I don't
or,
know.
like, is it just dropping
Maybe.
online?
Well, they released a teaser earlier today of Pedro Pascal, Gina Carano, and Carl Weathers reacting to it, but we couldn't see the trailer. And it was like, later tonight, catch it. I didn't see Monday Night Football branding like I did with the Episode 9 trailer last week. So, it could just be online. Don't know if we're going to be able to react to it, but I'm excited to see more of the show.
I mean, I'm down to see it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more because that first trailer, like, blew me away visually.
Yeah, it's not like it really needs to sell me.
Oh yeah, I'm in. I'm so
totally in.
I'm already in.
Yeah,
I should have bought that 3-year Disney Plus deal.
I know.
I'm mad I didn't.
Yeah, the only problem for me though is that I feel like I'd only watch the Star Wars content, but
That's fair. I mean, I'm getting Star Wars and Marvel out of it.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's a lot.
it is a lot. But I'm excited to see more. And it's funny enough because going off of this news, there was a report about the first episode of Mandalorian that I read earlier today. That episode 1 contains a, quote, massive Star Wars spoiler.
Cool.
Who the hell knows what that means?
Yeah, that could literally mean anything.
Like, does it mean some mystery that we haven't known? Like, we've been wondering for so long? Does it mean, like, the fate of a character? Boba Fett, maybe?
Does that mean like? Do we know the time frame?
Post episode 6.
So it's post episode 6 for the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. It's a
Uh,
couple years. It's not like some further closer. It's closer to 6 than it is to 7.
okay.
So,
Are we
like,
gonna- Are we gonna get an answer on how Anakin's lightsaber was recovered from Bespin? That's what I
maybe-
want to know.
That could be, yeah.
I really don't know because,
I
like,
hope it's lame. I hope it's just like the Mandalorian's like checking his wrist or whatever, and then just something just hits him in the head. Oh, I can sell this. At the end of the episode.
Maz Kanata shows up. Yeah, like, I really don't know what to make of that because episode 1 having a is it a spoiler for the series? Like, if it's the first episode, I feel like
It probably just answers some like unanswered question.
yeah, and I really
Yeah.
honestly, because of what this show is and what the origins of it were, and people think that Jon Favreau wanted to make a Boba Fett show, I really think it's gonna be, hey, Boba Fett died in that pit. He didn't get out. Because people are always thinking like, oh, is it him? Is he got a new suit now?
Yeah.
I think that might be the spoiler.
You know, Jon Favreau like went to the Disney executives and was like, "Hey, I want to make a Boba Fett TV show," and they were like, "Cool, let's think about it." And like a month later, they're like, "Yeah, no, you could do a Mandalorian TV show."
Honestly, I'm more excited for this than if it was a Boba Fett show.
Yeah, it gives him more freedom.
If it was a Boba Fett show, I don't know if I'd be nearly as excited, personally.
No, I think it's cool that it's just like a new character.
Yeah, and I think bringing in that surrounding cast of new characters as well, like IG-11 being played by Taika Waititi,
Yeah.
as well as Gina Carano's character, Carl Weathers, Giancarlo Esposito.
Bill Burr.
Yeah, like you have this really awesome cast that you can do a lot of interesting new things with. And I think, yeah, you could have done that if Boba Fett was the Mandalorian instead, but it makes it less interesting because it's like, oh, look at this guy, here's some other cool people.
Do you think we're gonna see like any legacy characters?
I think there's a chance we might see somebody, like I don't think there's anything crazy because like who's left
After 6?
Yeah, especially on the scoundrel side,
Yeah.
Do you think we could see like an aged up Donald Glover playing Lando?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know who else it would be.
What also like what's kind of I feel like it's kind of important to note like with this character. I don't know if you guys ever like listened to or read or watched any of the lore surrounding the Mandalorians, but like Boba Fett and Jango Fett aren't like key factors in the Mandalorian. Like
Yeah, they basically
they're just like guys who are that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they left that culture and they just kept the armor. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what happened, right?
From what I understand, yeah.
Yeah,
I could
like
be wrong with that.
Because I know the Mandalorians, from my vague knowledge of their arcs in the series, that like they have this well-respected culture. It's just Jango Fett left that lifestyle to become a bounty hunter.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
So-
Essentially, maybe we'll see like. I want to see some live action interpretations of cartoon characters.
That'd be cool.
Let's get like Sabine Wren
Sure.
from Rebels.
Yeah.
She's a Mandalorian.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Because
Yeah.
like Rebels, the fate of them,
The fate of.
that cast is like kind of up in the air, right? As far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, like some of them are alive, some of them are not alive.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe it could pop
Yeah.
up. Well, that does it for news.
That doesn't.
We talked about 2 Star Wars stories pretty much with Obi Wan and Mandalorian. Now we're going to talk about the first Star Wars story. So when we come back from a short break, we are going to be covering Rogue One, a Star Wars story. We'll see what we thought of it. See you in a sec.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Welcome back to the show. As I just said, we're about to review and rank Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yeah, the first Star Wars story.
Yes, the second one we're watching.
Yeah.
In this chronological timeline of the Star Wars lore. Rogue One is an interesting movie.
Yeah, it sure is.
I don't know how much you want to get into the behind the scenes stuff about this movie because we didn't necessarily for Solo.
Yeah.
Solo had the box office discussion around it.
Yeah.
Rogue One, I feel like it's more the reshoot thing.
I am still a little confused about what exactly they reshot.
So I did some brief reading this morning because I was also a little up in the air about what they did. As far as I know, Tony Gilroy came on after the fact to kind of fix the movie. This is just from a report I was reading. I don't know what's true, what's not, but apparently he said the film was a mess. He said that the characters had no ambition, which don't know if you fixed that, Tony.
Wait, from Gareth Edwards' first cut?
Yes, he said the director's cut was a bit of a mess.
Okay.
So I believe most of the reshoots were the third act.
Okay, yeah.
But that's as much as I took away from my brief reading into the behind the scenes of Rogue One.
I read that like they weren't supposed to die at the end. I don't know, we're just like getting right to the end here, but
I mean, it's part of this film's legacy, I guess,
yeah.
is that there was something wrong. And I think that's worth bringing up because I don't know if they managed to fix it.
Okay, explain. I think we're coming off very different spots about this movie.
Okay. I think this movie does not get good until like halfway through.
Okay.
I think that the beginning is very weak. So I'm interested in Galen. I'm interested in Krennic, right?
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't think it's the pacing. It's just the fact that at the beginning of the film we're jumping around so frequently, and nothing happens whenever we jump around. This was a problem I had in the prequels as well, where like, hey, we're cutting to this thing, nothing happens. We're cutting to this other thing, nothing happens. And they do it as an introduction to 3 members of the Rogue One crew: Jin, Cassian, and
K2?
No, the pilot B.
Wait, the pilot. Oh, Bodhi.
Bodhi, yes.
Bodhi Rook.
Yes, those are the 3 characters that get their own individual introductions.
Yeah.
I feel like we learn almost nothing, with the exception of Cassian. I feel like we learn nothing really about Jin in her introduction. She's in a prison cell. That's it.
What are you talking about? The whole first part of the movie is about Jin as
I'm
a
not talking about her
child.
childhood.
Yeah, but that's okay.
You're talking about like her rapscallion
No, because
years.
there is no connection from the introduction of Jin as a child to her as an adult. I feel nothing about this character at all.
I mean, like, does it really matter like where Jin is?
I think it does if we're going to have to rely on her to champion this rebellion.
Yeah, okay. I see what you mean.
You know, I also feel like there is a connection that you can just kind of assume because she's not like a huge character throughout the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you're like, okay, her mom was killed in front of her. Her dad got stolen by police. She had a messed up childhood. She's in jail.
Yeah, and that's conveyed fine, I guess, but it's not like it just kind of happens, and there's no like interesting thing about Jin. I think same thing with Bodhi, like an Imperial pilot that defected and he gets the bag over his head. That's at the beginning, right?
That's like, yeah, it's basically,
that's his introduction.
That's his introduction. Yeah. He's asking to meet Saw Gerrera.
Right, and that's interesting. What's going on is interesting.
Yeah.
But they don't really go into him at all in his introduction. It's just so brief. Same thing with Jin. Like the first scene with Jin as an adult is her waking up in prison, looking at the alien, looking outside, and then it cuts to Cassian. And then we get Cassian's introduction, which I think is very strong, because we see Cassian's this rebel spy that is doing the dirty work of the rebellion.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting.
That's very, very cool.
And that's why Cassian's my favorite character in this movie.
Yeah, no, he actually has some background.
Yeah, I think something with the structure at the beginning of it, jumping around so much, it doesn't feel like the movie gets going until at the earliest Jin is with Cassian and K2.
That's pretty early in the movie though.
Is it though?
Yeah, it is. Like so I know what you mean, like the beginning of the movie jumps around a lot. Like
Yeah.
Jin's in a prison cell,
Yes.
right? And then they go to the I don't know, that like marketplace. Yeah, the outpost.
Yeah.
And then they go jump to like Wobani for like no reason, and Jin's there.
Yeah.
And there's no real reason to any of that, but once they all like kind of get together, it starts to make sense.
Sure.
To me at least.
Yes. But still.
And that happens pretty early on in the movie. I remember watching it last night and being like, "Oh, they're already like on Yavin." It's
Yeah.
like 15 minutes into the movie.
Sure. I think just the entire introduction, I think just doesn't hit.
Okay.
That's where I'm standing. Like, yes, we're shown these characters, we're shown them meeting each other, but like, there's not enough weight because nobody's fleshed out enough. Sure, Jin as a child is fleshed out in like first 5 minutes, but there's still a disconnect between child Jin and adult Jin where you don't know what happened in those like 15 years of her life.
Yeah, but that gets kind of like that gap gets sort of closed over throughout the movie though.
Right. And that's why I'm saying the movie gets better halfway through.
All right.
Because at the beginning, they're just like treating it like this. It's like, oh, there's this great crew. Here's this person, here's this person, here's this person. They're going to come together. They're treating it like an Avengers thing.
Yeah.
But we have no attachment to them except Cassian and Child Jin. But when we get later on in the film, the end of Jeddah, I think is where the movie gets good.
Yeah. I mean, I think the movie is good from the beginning.
Okay.
If I'm being honest with you.
Okay. So kicking off, I guess, after the introduction, once they're grouped up together, their first thing is going to find Saw.
Right. They go to Jeddah.
Yes. I'll say I was entertained at this point because of I like Krennic. I think he's a good antagonist.
I think he's one of the better villains in Star Wars.
Me too. He's probably top 5.
Yeah. Who plays him? Do you know?
Ben Mendelsohn.
Okay. Yeah.
Ben Mendelsohn, also Talos in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
All right.
He's the Skrull.
I'm not familiar.
You knew that?
Yeah, it's funnier. Yeah.
Um,
Can I mention something before we just breeze past the beginning?
Yeah.
That has to do with him. Did anyone else get like an Inglourious Bastards vibe from his from when they like rolled up on Galen in the beginning of the movie?
I see where you're coming from. I didn't get that vibe, but I see it.
I felt that vibe like pretty hard.
Okay.
What did you think about just like the cold open like that? There was no like scrolling
Yeah.
text or.
I don't know. Like, it just felt very non-Star Warsy, and a lot of this movie kind of gives Star Wars a different perspective with the boots on the ground style of war. But I don't know. I just think that introduction didn't hit hard enough. It wasn't like it didn't do enough to be a cold open, is what I think. Like I feel like a cold open should like make a statement, title card, let's go.
Yeah.
This didn't.
Okay. You don't think like the main character's mom being killed and her dad being taken away by police makes much of a statement?
No. I don't understand why I'm alone here. It's like, it's a kid. It's just a kid. Like, yeah, that's sad. And the Empire's being bad people.
Right.
And this brilliant scientist is being taken away.
I mean, not just any kid, the main character of the movie.
Right, but I don't think Jin is the main character.
All right. Who's the main character then?
None of them. That's why this movie is so bad until it gets to the group.
Okay, all right.
I think it works as an ensemble film
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah.
And I love all these actors. I love this cast. But I think having too much of the film rely on any one of them individually doesn't work with this script and what this movie is.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's where I'm coming from. I don't
Okay.
know if I made that point well enough. But
No.
like relying too heavily on Jin at the beginning because I felt the disconnect from childhood to adulthood. I didn't see more of Jin's character arc or her personality until she was with the ensemble cast.
So you're saying it's kind of like disingenuous for them to start off with Jin because they could have start the movie off with Cassian as a kid.
Yes.
And it would have made no difference.
Yes, and I understand that Galen's very important to this plot, and he's more central to the plot than anybody else because he's the guy who built the Death Star.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to open up with this child showing us a story about how horrible the Empire is, Cassian's line, "I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old," that's so much more interesting, personally.
Yeah. I mean, but you do make a good point though. Like, but what about Galen or so though?
Yeah, and I think,
mean,
sure, you have to rely on Galen and his connection to Jin at the beginning because Galen's there. I just don't think it was executed great.
Okay, that's fair.
But you seem to be very positive on the movie.
I'm very much positive on this movie.
I like half of it a
Okay.
lot. I
All
like
right.
half of this movie a fair amount.
So you like when they leave Jeddah on?
Once Jin sees the message up from her father, I
Okay.
really I feel that connection to her then.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like, oh, you have just been aimless your entire life, and seeing this message from your father is giving you something to fight for.
I mean, she's also betrayed by the rebellion too.
Yes. That happens after that.
No, it happens before that.
What?
It's when Saw and her are talking. And she was like, "Oh, you gave me a gun and you just like," she was like, "I was 15 years old. You gave me a gun, then you just left me."
Right.
And he was like, "Well, you're the daughter of like an Imperial science officer, so people are starting to ask questions."
Yes, and sure, but they also go out of their way to sort of disconnect Saw from the rebellion. I don't know. Timeline here is weird, but like, I never viewed Saw as part of the rebellion. I saw him as his own individual force.
In Rebels, he's very much part of the rebellion.
Sure, yeah, and I know he is a character that he was in Clone Wars also, I think.
Yeah.
So once the majority of this crew is together, well, once the entire crew is together, towards the end of Jeddah, the two Guardian of the Wills.
Yep. Shirat Imwe and Baze Malbus.
Thank you for those names. Once they got Bodhi, once they got Cassian and Jin, I think that crew, great. I love their dynamics. I love them as a unit, and I was surprised at how much I liked seeing them bounce off each other.
Yeah.
So my specific note is, I didn't think the movie got good until the end of Jeddah / the beginning of Edu.
Okay. I think the whole Jeddah sequence to me is one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I like the end of it a lot. And I do like the back and forth of once the Imperial attack happens.
Like in the city?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I just like that because it kind of shows the grittier side of the rebellion.
Yeah.
In the terms of like, they're like low-key, just like terrorists.
Exactly. Yeah, I wrote that down too.
Yeah.
I like that. And while it is a disconnect because Saw technically isn't the rebellion in this film, or is like he's not acknowledged as being part of the rebellion.
Yeah. Same spiritual.
Yeah.
Like, they
Same
kind of
goal.
exist in the same
Yeah.
realm. Yeah.
Same enemy. Yeah, I think between him and on a more centralized rebellion side, seeing Cassian kill one of his own members of the rebellion at the beginning of the film, I think paints the rebellion in an interesting light, which is one of my favorite things about the movie. I really think they do a good job of painting the darker side of this war. Because like you said, they're terrorists in the eyes of the Empire, and assuming a large portion of Jeddah that just saw these people attack the Empire. So
to me, this movie takes the most nuanced approach to like the war part of Star Wars.
definitely.
I mean, like all the other movies, it's very basic, like good versus evil kind of thing. But in this movie, you see the rebellion do a lot of like questionable stuff, like Cassian killing that guy,
Right.
or that captain telling Cassian to just kill Galen Erso without any, anything other than that.
Did anyone else think the scene on Jeddah made stormtroopers look even worse than they look?
Why? Because they got beat with a stick.
They got beat with a stick. It seemed like everybody in that village square knew what was going on, and the stormtroopers just walked right into the middle of it, like, "Oh, what a nice day on Jeddah."
I mean, they also got beat up by teddy bears already,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, stormtroopers aren't the
they
the
can't
brightest.
get a win. They can't
No,
do
they-
anything right.
You notice that whenever a stormtrooper in this movie gets like hit in the face with like a staff or whatever, like the glass from their eyes break.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a very
cool.
cool touch.
Also, I mentioned this to Christian earlier. This might be a tangent, but I'm sorry ahead of time, but we got to go on it. Why do they wear the armor?
Oh yeah, it doesn't mean
It doesn't do anything.
they get like hit once.
And they're smoked. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. And like blaster shots aren't one shot kills, I guess.
Yeah. It depends on what it depends on
Depends on who's firing.
Yeah, it depends on the level of your plot armor, I guess.
Sure.
It also wouldn't surprise me if like the person who designed stormtrooper armor makes the blast effect magnify by 10% so you die quicker or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Just because they're useless.
They really are.
Stormtroopers just generally are useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
they are.
useless.
Yeah.
They're totally useless.
One ship full of people almost took down an entire base.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
They were armed to the teeth.
So I guess moving forward with everything else, though, I and what you were talking about the darker side of things, Cassian, and I think Cassian has the best emotional arc in the movie, because you see him learn to think on his own, and then he kind of acts out to help Jin, and just sort of takes the consequences of it.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm very excited for that Cassian show.
I also just really like K2.
Me too.
I think he's one of the better droids.
Me too.
In this newer.
I think all time he's one of the top 5.
Yeah, I just think I love his personality.
Yeah, he's really funny.
I like how they wrote it in too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really clever to me.
Yeah. Do you think that exploring more of Cassian and K2 in that series, do you think they should take a similar approach to the grit of Rogue One? Because Tony Gilroy is coming back to work on that film, the series.
I mean, I think they have to.
Mhm.
The first introduction of Cassian, he just like mercy shoots a guy.
Yeah. Not
So-
even mercy shoots.
Not
he
even
just-
mercy shoots.
He does
him,
it to
yeah.
get away because
Yeah.
his job's more important at the end of the day.
But that's pretty bad.
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they'd have to. That's just his character.
What do you think about Donnie Yen's character,
The Shira?
the blind man?
Yeah, I think he's cool.
Yeah.
He's got some good one-liners.
He does, yeah.
I like that one line that when they're in the jail cell on Jeddah, he's like, I think you take your prison with you wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
To,
Very wise.
To Cassian. I'm like, that's some Force stuff right there, man.
So he's a guardian of the wills.
Yeah.
Again, Star Wars does get very weird at sometimes with just
It's
their lore.
mythology, yeah.
It's kind of a separate religion than the Jedi, I guess is how I view it. The wills. They also
Yeah.
appreciate the Force, but they don't use it for power. They use it for like some other thing.
It's
religion.
more, yeah, it's just more like a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
Seems like they were like he was relying on it for like luck. Do you know what I mean?
Kind of. I took it as like he sees through the Force.
Yeah.
Like
I
he
would say
relies on
so.
the Force to guide him through.
Yeah, but like what about that scene where he walks to the switch?
Yeah.
Seems like he kind of saw it as like an overall protecting body as opposed to like a.
I mean, I kind of got some Jedi vibes from him. I feel like he wasn't being fully honest.
I don't think he was necessarily a Jedi. I just think he may have been like,
Very well trained.
or just like minorly force sensitive.
Sure.
Maybe his midi-chlorian count's a little lower on the low side.
Sure. But yeah, I like him. I like his back and forth with his partner. I like his exchanges with Jin. I think those sort of like her connection to him through the Force that it was clear her mother believed in. I think that works to establish Jin more.
Yep.
And by the end of this movie, I do like Jin. I want to make that clear. I just don't think that she's the main character.
Takes too long.
Kind of, and it takes too long for no end result.
Yeah.
Because, like you mentioned earlier, they all die at the end. So,
Can I ask you a question, Christian?
yeah.
Sorry if you're about to go into something.
No, go for it.
Do you think you would have liked the movie more if it cold opened from Jeddah?
Getting destroyed?
Yeah. Well, not from Jeddah getting destroyed, like them entering Jeddah for the first time.
Like Jin and Cassian
yeah,
and
and
them?
through like character dialogue, they kind of explained the situation that arise. But none of that stuff that happened in the beginning was there. It was just like a cold open right into this fight on Jeddah.
Honestly, I think you actually might have something there. Like, if they open with them landing on Jeddah and then scoping it out, and then cut to the Rogue One title, and then we get, like, Jin in prison, like, three days earlier.
Back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just because, like, to get a taste of where we're going, I feel like, because so much about this movie, I think, really relies on the ensemble.
I think it more so relies on Jin's relationship with her father.
Okay. Well, on Edu, that's when it all falls apart.
Yeah, I guess depending
The
on
relationship.
depending
Yeah.
on how you look at it physically, but like
Mhm.
I don't know. I am a big fan of the opening scene
Right.
personally.
Edu I like because, again, Rey in Star Wars. That's fun.
Yeah, always rain in Star Wars. Yeah.
Please more. Yeah, so what do you think of that resolution, I guess, when she meets up with her dad? And because that is the resolution of her back and forth with him. Like, we get hints of, like, him naming the project after her down the line, but her emotional arc as far as what's established at the beginning, how do you think that... What did you think of her meeting up with him again and him dying?
I mean,
Do you think it hit?
not really.
Okay.
I like this movie, but
Yeah.
it just that specifically just seemed like maybe it was just too glossed over.
Sure.
He was just like in the middle of his death and was like Stardust or whatever, and then he died.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it happened, you know? It just
Yeah.
happened.
It's kind of like Anakin's mom.
Sure. I mean, with Anakin's mom, it felt more like giving a reason to justify his insanity, but with Jin's father dying, that kind of was like a switch for her to do something with her life, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that scene overall too was a switch for Cassian when he decided not to kill her dad.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that one is much more apparent, and seeing him after that sort of confront or like deal with Jin's outrage towards him and being like, hey, I've been in this fight since I was 6. I think that his arc, like I said, emotionally is more apparent, but Jin's, because of where we established it at the beginning, how it happens on Edu, and then spurring her on to, I guess, commit to the cause.
I think it was necessary for her character.
Yeah. So,
I just don't think it was like
good moment.
yeah, it didn't feel like it didn't have the emotional weight like I feel like it should have
Mm-hmm.
personally.
Yeah.
But just like taking it on like face value, I think it was necessary for what she had to do as a character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Because very soon after that, and after her exchange with Cassian, she changed. Because
Oh, yeah.
right after that, we get into the council meeting. Or not
They
the council
they
meeting,
all
the-
kind of change on Edu.
Yeah, they do.
Bodhi turns completely to the rebellion.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always seemed like he... Well, I guess you're right, yeah, because they're all sort of tied to...
They're past in some way.
I was going to say Galen. Because Jin gets motivated because of his death. Cassian chooses not to shoot him, and then Bodhi was doing this for him, and
That's true.
now he's gone. What next? I guess I continue this.
Yeah. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
K2's a robot.
K2 is a robot.
Thank you.
I wanted to add something.
So, I guess after that, the entire Scarif scene. I think Scarif is a visually interesting planet in this universe, similar to Mustafar. It's something we haven't seen before.
It looks like a sandals resort.
It kind of does. They got that big tower, the hotel in the middle.
Yeah.
The crew goes to Bahamas.
Pretty much. The Scarif fight, like what you were saying, I think is the best display of the brutality of war in Star Wars. And again, from my knowledge, this is what was mostly reshot.
Right.
So
The ground stuff, I think, was mostly reshot.
yeah, the big takeaway for what I read in the quote was that Tony Gilroy was like, we need the characters to be more like softened a little bit, I think, is what his job was to come in to make you care about them more.
Yeah.
So I can see that, I guess, in the final battle, because for some reason there's some stronger connection between Jin and Cassian towards the end of the film. I get I'm not talking about like at the tower.
Yeah.
I'm talking about going up like in the elevator. They have that like oddly long stare at each other. It's like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I don't know what to think about the two of them. Like, I think they work together
Yeah.
well on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like when they die too. They're like,
Yeah, I think that's a very nice moment
Yeah.
for like to close off both of their characters.
yeah. They're like holding each other, and it
Yeah.
seems like a little bit more than like. And I don't know if I really like that.
If there was a nuke on a beach and it was just you, me, Pat, would we hug?
Oh yeah, I'd hug you guys.
I would too. See,
Yeah.
so I don't think it's anything like crazy like that. I think it's just like, hey, we're both gonna die.
Might as well.
I'm
hug it
here
out.
for you. Yeah.
The hug would probably start, and then I'd like be in my brain like, damn. If you told me I was gonna die in Buckley's arms today,
Fair.
I want nothing more than to die in your arms, Christian.
I'll note that.
Thank you.
So yeah, I guess the entire arc of Jin, I think, pays off at the end. I think her standing up to Krennic is it's good, satisfying. You know, the entire ending fight scene is again satisfying. Are there any standouts for you in this final battle on Scarif?
I mean, I think the space battle.
Right, I was just about to get into that after.
Okay.
If you had any final thoughts on Scarif.
All right. Well, I'm kind of just like lumping them both in together. But
Sure.
if we're talking about on the planet,
Like,
there are a lot of cool shots of like things that are happening in the air,
Mhm.
and then like a plane or a ship crashes, but
Yeah.
then they like kind of just very smoothly transitions
Mhm.
into like what's happening on
Yeah.
the ground. I think that's cool.
what do you think about the deaths of the rest of the crew?
I think I will say this. I love the fact that everyone dies.
I think it's bold. I'm glad they did it.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So many movies are scared to kill their
Yeah.
characters, and this movie just kills all of them.
smokes them.
Just smokes them. And I think that's so cool
Mm-hmm.
because it kind of underscores that they're not really important.
Yeah. This entire movie is literally based on one line in the opening crawl 4.
Yeah.
One line.
Yeah.
That's it.
So in a way, it's almost like, does it matter? Like, does it matter that we really care about these characters?
Well, that's an interesting point, because last week
Like-
when you asked me about L3, I was like, is that just a reflection of life being meaningless?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like this whole movie is kind of just like a bunch of people who did a thing. So
Yeah.
Star Wars could happen.
Yeah.
Does it really matter if we care about Jin? She dies at the end anyways.
From a story perspective, no. I think from a movie perspective, yes. And I think that's why I was dissatisfied for the first half of this movie.
Okay.
There are a few other things I think we have to touch on with this, though.
All right.
I've lumped all of these together. First off, what do you think of Tarkin in this movie?
I think it's so cool.
Okay.
I think it's bold
Mm-hmm.
that they recreated him and like CG'd him
Mhm.
into the movie, but I think it looks good.
Yes, I appreciate the lengths they went to try and make it look believable.
Yeah.
Because First off, they prepare you for it, which I think is smart.
Through like the
Glass reflection, and I thought that's just how they were going to do it. I thought he was just going to be looking at the Death Star the whole time, and that was just a small little cameo. He has a not significant role in this movie, but he's in it.
Definitely like sporting role.
He has at least 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he has more lines in this movie than he did in 4.
I think he does.
That's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he dead?
The actor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Cushing, I think.
Yes.
That's a trip.
Also the lighting, I guess, because they're in space on a space station with weird lighting, they can sort of cast a shadow on Krennic's face that makes him look more, not mysterious, but it makes him fit in the scene with the CGI Peter Cushing Tarkin.
Do you think it looks good? Like, do you like it?
When I first saw it, I was blown away. Now,
like 2016.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I think it looks like a very good video game character.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I was absolutely blown away the first time.
Yeah, I was jaw dropped.
Like,
I was
shook.
like, whoa.
Yeah. It's crazy how in 3 years like technology's changed so much. That
Yeah.
I still think it looks good though.
I think for the way they present it, I think it looks fine.
Yeah.
But I can very much clearly tell that it is not him.
Right.
Regardless,
Oh, yeah.
knowing that he passed away, just like...
It's like that uncanny valley kind of
Sure.
stuff.
Speaking of Princess Leia, I think they go through similar extents to try and prepare you for it.
Yeah.
Don't think it works.
It doesn't work as much with Leia as it does Tarkin.
Because it's an all-white ship. I feel like there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, her
less-
face is completely lit up.
You can
Yeah.
rely less on the environment, I guess.
Yeah, and for that reveal, I really thought it was just going to be similar to how I thought Tarkin was going to be handled. Just her there, and we don't see her. It's just like, oh, that's Leia.
Yeah.
Because I know that's Leia. But for the Chewies out there,
All the Chewies out there.
they had to spend a asinine amount of money to recreate Carrie Fisher's face.
Yeah, for that like literally 5 seconds.
Yeah, and I don't think it looks very good.
There's like a weird thing that her mouth does. It just like doesn't look right.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
You know, it does look really good in this movie, though.
We're getting there, Pat.
I won't spoil it.
Well, that's next, I guess. Vader.
Yeah.
How do we feel about Vader in this movie?
The first time you see Vader, he looks a little weird.
Looks kind of chunky.
Yeah, so like something's up with his neck.
The neck, yeah, that's what I thought too.
Something's up with his neck. I
Yeah.
don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
But
Are you talking about when he's speaking to
Krennic
Krennic?
on Mustafar,
Okay.
which very cool.
Yeah.
do we even know if that's Mustafar though? Has it ever been confirmed?
I don't know.
Isn't that the only place where like his other tank is?
I mean, I would assume like
Yeah.
we see the lava and stuff, so like it's almost it's probably Mustafar.
They're like, hey.
Yeah, big wink.
Yeah.
But they introduce a lot of other places in this movie.
They do.
But they don't introduce Mustafar.
Yeah, that's why I was curious. Well, I guess it was like if they had Mustafar in flash text, would it just be like, duh? Because like I get the connection there of like Vader being born the way he is now on Mustafar.
Yeah.
Living there, reminding himself of his loss.
I mean, it's definitely Mustafar. Has to be.
Yeah.
But okay, another thing though, that flashback sequence, Jin has.
Oh,
one,
right, yes.
Is that on Coruscant?
Sure.
Is it though?
Sure.
I think it should be.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay.
It's an Imperial officer with some higher elites in a city. Sure. Put it on Coruscant.
It surely looks like Coruscant.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I didn't really notice, but sure. I'll buy that.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to bring it up because that's another thing that doesn't actually get like explained.
Yeah. Yes, a weird consistency with labeling where we're going.
Yeah.
But
Whatever.
Maybe it was like a tool just to show what was new in the series.
mhm.
It's
Maybe.
Like Mike was able to see that was Coruscant.
Mhm.
We
Well,
were all able to see whether it was.
They did
Mustafar
introduce
or not.
Yavin 4 though, which is the rebel base, and we've seen that before too.
Right,
So
Mm.
Vader's introduction though, I know a lot of people didn't like that line he has to Krennic. I liked it. It was very Vader.
Oh, the choke on your aspirations one.
yeah,
I think it's in character.
me too.
Yeah.
He's cocky.
What's up with the voice? Seems a little different though.
I think it's just James Earl Jones coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
You know.
He's got to get
A
the
little
cobwebs
rusty.
out of the.
Yeah, I really think that's probably what it was because I did
Yeah.
notice even the first time I watched this movie, like, it doesn't sound fully Vader.
No.
It is Vader, but like, He has to like clear his throat or something.
There's something up with his mask too. The eyes seem a little bit more red.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know if you noticed.
They do, yeah. I think Vader's look in 3, fantastic. But honestly, you know what? Now that I'm thinking of this, because this movie takes place so close to Episode 4, maybe they tried to recreate the suit and it just comes across differently because, as far as I know, this movie was shot digitally. 4 was shot on film, so maybe it's just a different kind of. There's no texture, so it like doesn't mask some of the readiness of the eyes. Maybe
I don't know. I think I
looks like Vader.
I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked his appearance.
Yeah, so his scene there I liked. I'm glad they didn't like over rely on Vader in the movie. Like I'm glad he showed up when he did. The final Vader set piece, though.
Oh yeah.
What are our takes on this? Obviously, it's cool, right?
I mean, hands down.
Yeah.
It's like a Battlefront kill streak.
Yeah, pretty much. I know there's some people that don't like it.
How could you not like?
Honestly,
the argument is that Vader is so like all encompassing. Like he's like top of his game right now. He's not like he went through those 15, 19 years of being this like just force for the Empire that now setting him up for 4, 5, 6, he's supposed to be this like tactician. So why would him in his older age pause for dramatic effect, take his time through this hallway, and then lose the plans? I know that, again, that's movies, you know, that's just how movies work. Sometimes things don't work out how you expect them to or against logic. And I know people hold that opinion and believe that.
Yeah.
I do think it's inarguably a very cool scene.
Yeah.
And as far as Vader in the hallway goes, do you like this style of Vader? Do you like him being very visceral with his attacks?
Yeah, no, I want to see Vader like mess people up. Because he can.
Yeah.
And
he goes off.
He does go off. I mean, he's like the most powerful Sith ever. Like, let's see him
so far, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's. Why can't he like destroy a bunch of rebels?
I also think it's fair to use that as an assumption for why he like paused for dramatic effect. Like overconfidence could have easily been a factor.
Yeah,
that's to, like they're not going to slip away with the plans on me, and they did.
Sure, that's where I land on it too. Kind of like Anakin / Vader, his pride, his hubris. He gives into that frequently.
Yeah.
So even if this is Episode 4 Vader, he could have just been like, "This is gonna be real cool."
I mean, it's also not unreasonable that he'd be there too, because he shows up right at the beginning of Episode 4.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the end of this movie.
Yeah, no,
I like that scene.
I heard that was a reshoot though.
That makes me feel weird.
I mean, we don't know what's a reshoot,
Yeah,
what's not a reshoot.
Because like, regardless if it was a reshoot or not, they definitely just threw that in there to be like, "Hey, you know, be cool."
Yeah, well,
similar to the Darth Maul thing.
Yeah. Except this makes a little bit more sense than
it does, because we're leading literally right into Episode 4.
Yeah.
Does this change the vibe at the beginning of Episode 4 to you guys at all?
I'm interested to watch 4 this week or next week, because I don't know if I've watched them in pretty close proximity to one another.
Okay, because now how I feel about the intro to Episode 4 is that, like, for me, it always seemed like the Star Destroyer, like, kind of caught up to them and caught them off guard, as opposed to, like,
a chase.
They pulled off. The Star Destroyer was like, all right, turn around, and then they catch them.
Okay.
You know, it seemed like it definitely feels closer.
It gives more context, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Mike, what do you think about, I guess, where we leave off and how it's handled? Is it too heavy-handed? There's an overwhelming air of, I guess, leaning on the original trilogy nostalgia in this movie that people will discuss with the film. But what's your take on it? Do you think it's too heavy-handed? Do you think that's a fair amount? Or
honestly, I don't think it's too heavy-handed. That's what I like most about this movie, is that it gives context to the original trilogy. It kind of shows, like what happened before Episode 4, obviously.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered, like, even as a kid watching Episode 4, like, why are they in this situation? You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Right? Like it starts off with this chase.
Mm-hmm.
So it answered that like childhood question for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know like Legends had their own take on this.
I don't know that.
But I just always thought it was cool, like as an in-canon answer. That tells like an interesting story, and that they all die.
Yeah,
That's my favorite part.
One overwhelming positive I have for this movie, outside of casting in K2, the everything in space, gorgeous. Yeah, I think it's honestly it might be the best looking spaceships in space I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie.
It's the most warsy of them all.
Sure, because like the first time we see a Star Destroyer coming out of the shadow of the Death Star, I made a sound last night when that happened. I was like, whoa. That because it just looks so good, because I think they found a nice way to recreate that model look from 4, because they didn't use models for this film.
No, they didn't.
It was CG.
Yeah.
But they had a really convincing CG style for a lot of these spaceships, I thought.
It was all shot in like VR, you know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like Gareth Edwards like was like had an iPad basically.
That's
that
really cool.
He could like move around physically
Mhm.
and like shoot these like space scenes.
That's really cool.
Like
I know they did that in for The Lion King also, the new one.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's where I think this movie is like where that technology like started.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that scene, especially with the Star Destroyer coming out of the shadow, is you can go look it up on YouTube.
Very cool.
What do you think about all the Death Star scenes?
Do you mean like when it shoots?
Essentially, I mean like we only see it shoot
twice.
Well, once in the original trilogy.
Oh, right.
Like it kind of sets up this weapon a little bit.
I think it contextualizes Alderaan a little more.
Yeah,
which I appreciate, because just what was that? 1 core, 1%, 5%, something like that. The test on
a
Jedi.
Single reactor.
Okay.
Ignition. Yeah.
As opposed to however many.
I think it's just like a full reactor.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really know.
Nice answer.
Full single reactor.
All of the reactors. I don't know.
Yeah, I think seeing it on Jeddah is an interesting, not even interesting. I think it's a very cool looking set piece in Star Wars.
I think that's yeah, I agree.
And taking that knowledge into episode 4 next week, when Jimmy Smits is gonna die on Alderaan.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
I like how they brought back Jimmy
that was
Smits.
a nice touch. Yeah. And it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Mon Mothma was not in 3, right? A young Mon Mothma?
No, I don't think so.
Was she in another Star Wars film, though, besides 6?
No. I don't know. I always thought she was just in 6.
Okay, because I feel like the person playing Mon Mothma in Rogue One was also returning, but it wasn't the original actor.
It definitely wasn't the original actor from the 80s.
Right, yeah.
For sure. But like
I could be totally wrong on that, but I definitely thought that she was returning.
You might be right. I just don't know the answers to that.
I mean, like, I feel like I might be being a little too nitpicky with the movie. I feel like there's some genuine things that are wrong with it.
Okay.
But that's where I stand. And you like this movie more than I do, clearly.
Clearly, yeah.
Are there any final thoughts you want to put out there before we wrap this thing up?
Other than I think Director Krennic in this movie is a great villain.
Yeah, 100%.
We kind of talked about it, but I just want to reiterate that.
He's very good.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to rank.
Ooh.
Pat,
who's going?
Pat, you want to go first?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Start from the bottom of your
That's
list.
what yeah.
Okay.
I really fumbled the bag last week, so I'm going to all right, so I'm going to go number 5 now, Phantom Menace. Number 4, Attack of the Clones. Number 3, Rogue One. Number 4, Revenge of the Sith. Number 3. Oh, number 2. Damn it! It's gonna be every week. Number 2, Revenge of the Sith, and number 1, Solo.
Okay. I can say I'm pretty sure we have the exact same list.
Sweet.
So mine is 5 is episode 1, 4 is episode 2, 3 is Rogue One, 2 is episode 3, and 1 is Solo.
Okay.
What about you?
5 is episode 2,
Mhm.
4 is episode 1, then Solo, then Rogue One, then episode 3.
Cool. Very nice.
Sweet. Yeah.
Still riding that Solo high right now.
Yeah.
I really liked that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is presumably the last time in the Star Wars canon we'd have a Star Wars story film with the future we're looking at right now.
Yep.
Do you have any, I guess, post-mortem thoughts on the Star Wars stories as a whole?
Honest good riddance.
Okay.
I haven't even seen them in TV show form, but I can already tell you that they're probably better.
I think so too. I think Rogue One, if Rogue One was a series, if it was a 6-episode limited series, I think I would have been much more positive on it.
Yeah.
Because if you get those first 3 episodes about Jin with Saw, Cassian doing spy stuff, and then Bodhi actually defecting,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have. If you wanted to do 4 episodes, give each of them their introduction, and then the 4th episode is the majority of Rogue One, I would have been way more invested, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think Rogue One, I think this story works in a movie,
Mm-hmm.
but just like Star Wars stories as a whole,
Yeah,
I think they will probably work better as TV shows.
sure.
I think Star Wars stories would work way better if they were outside of trilogies too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these release dates happened in between the middle of a first and 10-year
yeah.
trilogy set.
And clearly, that strategy did not work.
Yeah, this was the second Disney Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting, because I know a lot of people that preferred this film over Force Awakens
Yeah,
for some
okay.
reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you'd think that, but
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for episode 5 of Jedi Knights. Pat, is there anything you'd like to shout out, or your Twitter account?
It's just my Twitter account. I still don't have anything cool going on in my life to shout out. At the Pew Moron.
Awesome. Mike, what about you?
you can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris N. Buckley. Like I said, we got a trailer reaction for episode 9. We talked a little more about it after the trailer ended. If you want more of our discussions and thoughts on that. And if you enjoy the show, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can rate us on there. That'd be nice. You can
Give us money on Patreon.
You can also do that.
Yeah.
If you really like the show, in our little ad break in the middle, that's just a funny little quote I pull from Star Wars. You can get a message read if you want to drop $50 on the month, every single episode of the podcast.
Also, if you're under the age of 16 and you're near your mom's credit card, I will do your homework for you for a month if you donate over $100 to the show.
You're making so many promises, Pat.
He'll also shave his head. You said that.
He
the
did
last
say
time.
that.
I did.
Yeah.
That one
Oh.
we can stand by, because he's got wings on his hair. He's very proud of that. Will be fun to shave.
But that's like I've told myself I'd never shave my head because I just look like an adult baby because I don't have enough facial hair.
You really dug yourself a hole.
But if you don't want to drop that much money, $2 a month will get you early access to these episodes, so you can listen to them on a Wednesday as opposed to a Friday.
Cool.
Be more on top of the news
Yeah.
with us. But that's going to do it for the episode. Thank you for joining me, Mike.
Oh, as always, it's a pleasure.
I thought we had a good discussion about the film.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I was able to hear your thoughts on it.
We differ quite
So.
quite differently. We differ quite differently. No,
Sure. But yeah, that's going to do it. And until next time, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the force be with you.
General Kenobi.